On April 13th, 2011, 20-year-old Holly Bobo was abducted from her rural Tennessee home in broad daylight, witnessed by her own brother. What followed was over 3-year investigation, arrests built on informant testimony, and a trial that raises serious questions about how justice is served and when physical evidence is scarce. Sorry. We just heard from Jason Autry, the state's star witness in the past 2 days of our coverage on this case, and we're about to get into his recantation. So let's do it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Defense Diaries. And I today am your sole host, Allison Mata. Bob is in Tennessee for his yearly Super Bowl getaway. They don't actually go to the Super Bowl, but the boys go away to watch the Super Bowl because, it's a boy thing. It's a boy thing. And today we are lucky enough that Katie and Dana from now I'm gonna, of course, blank on the name of their podcast, Truth and oh my gosh, fire me now. Fire me now. What's the name of their podcast, guys? Perimenopause moment. Truth and oh Lord. It's actually probably right here in front of my face. Trial and error. See, that's what it was. I said truth first and I got thrown off. Trial and error. So Katie, Dr. Spirko, went out. She interviewed star witness Jason Autry while he was in custody, as you can see here. This is her full video of that. I did send out invites. I don't know if Dana and Katie are busy, but if they can, I'm sure they will make it. And for those of you who missed the last 2 days of this series was Jason Autry's in-court live trial testimony. Today, we are moving outside of the courtroom. And I'm sorry, History and Homicide said, why did the tagline change? Which tagline? What'd I do? What are we talking about? Let me take off this banner, actually. All right. So I don't know. But Bob's probably watching and like, wow, she's floundering. She's floundering. But yes, trial and error, you guys all know. So in any event, this is his full recantation. And I think we can decide, if you try to look at it objectively, and I know we all have opinions because we know more about this case now than, they did a trial, obviously, but we know a lot about the case, mostly from the Trial and Error podcast, the series on this, and all the work that Katie and Dana did. But, I have to say there were portions of his trial testimony that seemed like he was telling the truth. There just was. I thought he put on not knowing about inconsistencies and things like that, not knowing the things that could later be proven to be like, wait a minute, but that wasn't even right. I'm just going off like how he came off at trial. And yes, there were times where he came off totally like he was prepared, like he, had this memorized, but there were just parts of his story that made you think I could see myself believing this person in at trial. So now we're going to watch his recantation, see if he explains how he came up with all the details that he did. And, then you guys can decide what is more credible, the recantation or the trial testimony. So, and although he seemed coached at trial, this is a different situation. We're going to have the laid back version of him, not his on show version. And maybe some more truth will come through that way. So let's start it up. And I have it on double time on, I have it on 2 times boosted. So if it's too loud, I don't think we're gonna have the problem. The courtroom was too loud because of all the background noise. And I've just put it at 1.25, so you'll let me know if it's too fast.
And there we go.
My name is Jason Autry.
There you go.
They're talking.
You don't have to talk into it. You don't have to talk into it. I know, it's awkward. It's awkward. Okay. Can we just start at the very beginning of when you first started getting questioned related to the Bobo case?
Well, it started in a series of.
So I just turned off the boost because it does seem loud and there is a little sound in the background. So, History and Homicide says, why did you get married on Super Bowl weekend? I, who never watched football, and football was never a thing in my house growing up, didn't even know the Super Bowl was in February. So that is a much better question for my husband, who tries to blame some random shit like, oh, like your parents had this idea and this weekend was thrown out. And I'm like, yeah, but you never once said, you know what, that weekend sounds like shit because it's the Super Bowl weekend. Never once did it come up. Never once. So I don't know. But we did. So, all right, let's go. Let me know if I should put the boost back on.
In a series of chain of events, the meetings with the attorneys, and
But this is before attorneys.
Huh?
I'm talking even before attorneys. Do you remember the actual day, the 13th, when she was abducted? Do you remember what you actually did that day?
Well, no, I couldn't tell you what I done that day.
Yeah.
Other than,
a raid?
What the phone records
All right.
had done.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree to all
Hey,
that.
Broken Bakers. Yeah. Baker raid.
By those
Love
phone records, I knew where I was that day.
Yeah. When did you first hear of Holly Bobo being abducted?
That day.
Yeah.
It was sometime through that day I was told.
Yeah. Do you remember how you heard about it?
I was at a bar when I was told. And
Dottie's?
No, it was Double D's. I don't know what time it was, though. It was after 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told to stay out in that area because they were searching over.
Mm-hmm.
And I was drinking,
Yeah.
on the pizza and this and that.
Mm-hmm. Let me
So
move
for
me.
my well-being, ladies and gentlemen, you don't go that way.
Yeah. And how close? Because I know she was a second cousin, or
Yeah, she's second cousin to me. I never went, sit down at the family table or nothing,
Yeah.
It was a side of the family that was just half. It was just half with my grandmother, who was just half brother. It was the connection, It wasn't no blood connection.
So you didn't do like holidays or anything together?
Mm-mm. And my dad, when he was growing up, he didn't do holidays and stuff,
Yeah.
Once you figured out what Christmas was, it was over. My dad died.
I heard. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you was fixing to ask his name.
No, I know he passed away recently.
Yeah, he recently died.
Um,
Maybe he's on the better side of life.
So
But see, now you're talking about.
she's asking questions. I'm telling her to make sure I'm not asking leading questions.
I noticed, now this right here, you're talking about during that time, I had a bass boat.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like everybody in jail come to me wanting to go fishing.
Mm-hmm. I saw your bass boat.
Well, hell, I take them, and thinking, these some bitches are sent from the police, We got our turn about the second or third time, my slow ass finally catches on, Y'all want to come out here and ask about this yet, fine. So, and of course, her dad got to running around there. I just wonder if he's still alive, man.
Her dad, Dana?
Yeah, it's 1,000 wonders if he's still alive, and that he's even still alive. He was pulling up the Shane's house and stuff, and looking around, and there he is, and there with all them guns, trying to go shoot at him when he sees him, I'm gonna shoot at just jeep.
Yeah. So, I mean, did Karen and Dana or Clint come and talk to
Karen and
you?
Dana come to my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? I mean, what do you remember that?
It was early in the morning. I had just got up. I sat there and talked to him. I answered every question he had.
When did it become, like, when did you feel like they were targeting you guys?
Well, knowing I was innocent of it, I never really looked at that side of it. I thought, you know, I was just going through a phase, you know, they're checking felons in there.
Yeah.
You know, shit like that. Because, you know, I've had them pull me over before and want to buy a chainsaw, something police, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I figured it was just something like that, you know.
Yeah.
I never once realized that, you know, people was giving statements and all this other shit, you know.
Mhm.
I don't understand. I don't understand. This is what I do not understand is the day they walked out there, what put that my name in your head?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what put what name, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, I still don't know, you know, and I believe this with all my heart. I believe that's who they wanted arrested. I believe those 3 boys is who the Karen and Dana wanted arrested. I believe they was prosecuted under their permission, and I was let go by their permission. I know I was let go by their permission
Yeah.
because the judge asked me, "Are y'all happy with this?" And I said, "Yeah."
What do you think made them want them prosecuted?
I don't know. Just thought maybe the thought of somebody being, you know, held accountable. That's what my attorney said. He said, "Somebody's got to pay Jason." He said, "It's gonna be you." Hell no, I ain't paying.
I mean, Clint
Tell me
can't.
what I do to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Clint,
But it's the same way right here today, you know.
Clint can't think it was you guys. I mean, he saw him.
He knows who he saw.
Yeah.
If it wasn't him.
So, okay, so you get.
Who's to say she even disappeared that day? I mean, who says she disappeared 3 days before that and the family covered it up 3 days? I didn't say that. I mean, you know, where's reality at? You know, I mean, they turned and started blaming 3 people they didn't have evidence on. They didn't have nothing on.
Yeah.
They have alibis.
Mhm.
They had alibis up there.
They checked out.
Yeah, we get you. We got you here.
Well, I have Shane's bank.
Everybody ain't messed up. You go in jail. Come on, boy.
I have Shane's bank statements that corroborate his alibi with Zach and Dylan. And what sucks, I have the name of the guy, the security guy at the bank. He had offered the video surveillance footage at the ATM to corroborate the exact time he was there for his alibi. And the TBI said they didn't want it. Okay, so you get arrested.
Well, see, I was already incarcerated when I got arrested. I was already in
Oh,
the
I
federal
forgot that.
system.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I had a firearm charge.
Okay.
I was in the federal system, been in there about a year, and now they come. Dylan told him something. He was getting sentenced. And, I reckon he kept telling him something. I don't know what he was telling him.
So walk me through your whole, I want to know your whole experience. What happened? How did it get from you being arrested for this to you being on the stand and telling this crazy story?
That's a long ways.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of.
Yeah, we got until 1.
I'm looking at the time like it's now.
I got there, and the first defense team, Fletcher Long and them, and they got in trouble. Got pulled off case. Got appointed Mac. Give Mac the opportunity to work with the guy he wanted, you know. And so that's how Flanagan got booted because Mac didn't want to work with Flanagan.
All right, so let me know, boost on or off. Now it's on.
He had his own gig, so he said, "Yeah, I do that." Okay. So all of this in the beginning was just all routine questions. You know, Jason, what was you at this day? You know, this didn't check out, or this checked out. You know what was going through. And they asked me a question: "How you going to settle this?" or something, you know. And I told him, I said, "The rope ain't got tight enough yet. You know, for me, you know," I said, "I ain't seen shit. You know, I'm not convinced I done this. You know, convince me I done it, because I ain't done it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've looked at all this other little shit they got, and I can't see nothing that says I've done it." So anyway, time goes on, a year passes, he comes back. He's a new man when he comes back. He's like,
This is Michael Scholl.
It's time to get this shit rolling, you know? I said, I agree. Where you been for a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you been for a year, you know? And he said, what we gonna do here? I said, we're going to trial. He said, you realize this, don't you? And I said, what's that? He said, this is like a child molester case. Everybody's gonna scream, poor baby. And he said, I got you about a 95% chance. You spend the rest of your time right over there. I said, Mike, I said, you don't think there's nothing you can do? He said, I think I can talk to them blue in the face. And he said, I don't think they'll listen. He said, once they say your name, people look up your badge jacket, they're all right, you've been off the street anyway. So the seed was planted right there. You get where I'm going? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, what do you want to do here? We kept on jostling back and forth there for a day.
Mhm.
And he told me, he said, we ain't getting nowhere. And I said, well, I didn't know what to say, but goddamn, what do they want? You know, I need to know what they want. What do they want from me?
Yeah.
I want you to testify. Straight up about it. They need someone to understand. State needs a mouthpiece. And I said, for mine, I'll go free. He said, I think I can sell that. I said, well, go see what you can do. He was gone for a period of time.
Oh, wait a minute.
He comes back, we'll go see. State needs a mouthpiece. Straight up about it. And he wants you to testify. Straight up about it. They need someone to understand. State needs a mouthpiece. And I said, for mine, I'll go free. He said, I think I can sell that. I said, well, go see what you can do. He was gone for a period of time. He comes back again, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. He comes back. He said, you know what we was talking about? And I said, yeah. He said, can you rehearse that story for me today? I said, right now. You know, I got you right now in front of both of y'all, you know, come on. That'll work. That's what he said, you know, when I got done. He said, that'll work. He said, one thing is going to seal it. And I said, what's that? He said, we're going down the river tomorrow. He said, I want you to walk them through everything out. That's right.
So did you tell him a version of the story then at that point?
Yeah.
Was it the same? I mean, what changed over the
I
course
mean,
of
I got the version of the story from him and Clark Chapman.
How did they feed you that?
Well, it was given to me through phone records or, you know, questions and stuff going on. Like, you know, I said one time to him, I said, well, you know, they knew I was over at Shane's house. And I said, well, what if I say all I seen was just a body, you know, laying in the back of the truck? That's not enough to get you out. I said, so I got to see the damn shoot. He said, if you're going to play with them, you might as well go all the way, Jason. So we went all the way.
How did you find out how did you find out she was shot?
The TBI, the day the skull was found, the TBI went down there to Dottie's and announced it. We just found her skull, bullet hole in the back, 38 caliber bullet, 35, 38 caliber.
Mm-hmm.
I seen the report, and I believe it's one of them. So I knew you right there.
You were incarcerated at the time.
Yeah, I was in River Bend.
Yeah. So how did it get from Dottie's to you?
Telephone, my mama.
Your mom? Yeah.
I mean, the first thing they done, Dottie's, was all them the little girls in there run tell, you know. You know. Big news.
Yeah.
You know. But that's how I found out, yeah.
So now I have a question, because when he testified, if you guys remember, they said, oh, we have all your telephone calls recorded. You know, she had like her big stack of letters. If there's a telephone call where his mom is telling him that she's shot in the head, why didn't they bring that out in trial? Why didn't she am I making this up? No, there was. She had, like, the big stack of records of all the letters that he wrote, and now I can't remember. Did she say that she listened to all the phone calls? They mentioned that as well. Right, guys? I don't know, it seems like something that should have been brought out if his mom's having to tell him on the phone how the victim was unalived. It seems that should have been brought out in cross-examination.
Brent Booth told it to Dottie.
Okay, so walk me through how the story came to.
The story came just working a story. You know, when I started that timeline, I started using phone records and IR statements and stuff like that. And when people see you here and hear you there, that gives you credibility to your story.
How did you get the phone records and the IR statements?
They
just
to me.
gave them to you?
Yeah.
Like you had them in your cell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had all of it.
Who brought them to you?
My attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in there, ain't it?
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you if you plan on looking through it.
I have looked through it. There's a lot.
Mighty.
Mhm.
It's a paper cut.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a whole box of just psychics.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're putting it together.
Yeah, we put the story together in about 3 days. And, and once you get a story out, you do swear to it.
Mhm.
And it's amazingly simple. But, parts of it, I don't know what he was doing in the night, but he'd be like, they blowing my phone, I won't know what you're saying.
Okay, I think the river, that area.
I just find this so strange. He was so coherent in a sense, in full sentences at trial, and he's like barely explaining himself here, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's strange. We've got a lot more to go. So maybe he, is going to delve into things.
Was flooded at the time.
Was it?
I think it was. I haven't pulled the records yet.
It could be. And I think me and Zach was actually down there at the river at that point.
What were you doing down
I think we were down there getting high.
there? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I met him down there at that point. And my phone records had me there, or had me within that area.
Yeah.
And within that area, the only thing I'd have been doing was been at that bar down there, that water.
Yeah.
But we had to add Holly to that story. You see what I mean? We already had a story, so all you had to do was just add something. And where I first got to, at one point in time, I was about half convinced that Shane and them done it, that I was just a victim of knowing them.
Yeah.
And I thought that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I've gone back and forth in going through the records where I went through a phase of thinking that. I don't anymore.
I don't either. But I thought that for a long time, and I set their statements up on my TV, beside my TV, for 18 months before I waited to tell this story to a prosecutor. Waited to. I don't know what I waited on. in my mind, I was waiting on something though. Obviously, but it was 18 months went by before. I mean, when I read their stories, I got mad. I got mad because Dylan said some weird shit.
Yeah.
I mean, some weird shit. And I've done a lot of damn crime in my life. I've been so damn wondering if I ever get out of being there. Two things I never done. Start women and children. And everything else I've victimized. Tore it out of stealing it, shooting it, you know, whatever. But, and that's what pissed me off so bad when I read that Dylan done that swine up down, you know, I'm raping her in there in the goddamn house, you know. I think you sick, twisted bastard, that's what you think, you know.
Yeah.
And
This is December 2023. I'll update the banner.
I think that's what drove some of my anger. Because I was mad. Mad because every time I'd lay down, I'd have to lay down in bed. But I was having to be ridiculed by inmates every day. You killed her, you son of a bitch, you know good, you goddamn raping, killing. You know, it's every day. You know what I mean? And I guess I acted out with that false story. And let them plant the seeds like that. You know, it worked good in me, you know.
You're an engaging witness.
Well, I was trained.
I could tell you're trained. I'm on the witness stand a lot, you know. I was trained witness.
Trained by?
I mean, I was told who to speak to, how much to shut down, when to ask for more or less.
Who was doing the training?
Jennifer Nichols.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the boss of it all.
One thing you screwed up on, you talk about the fence and the gate at Shane's place. That didn't go up until after, it was like a few months after when he got a puppy. So there wasn't a fence and gate at the time of Holly Bobo's disappearance.
Right.
I mean, so
Hell, I mean, I
did a
don't
pretty
know.
good job.
I tried to see what you know.
See, that's another thing that's odd, you know, from the trial. The defense lawyer says, so the gate was open though when you got there. He's like, oh no, the gate was closed. It's just, I don't understand why she didn't at least find out like simple details like that. I mean, the littlest thing that takes someone saying things like for sure and shows he doesn't even know there wasn't a gate then. He's clearly just putting all these details in. It would have made a witness like this, the way he came off in trial, just a little thing like that would have undermined him a lot because he just keeps saying things like he's so damn certain, you know, and no, I know it was open or it was closed. I forget which one. I think the counsel suggested it was open and he said it was closed. It's a shame. So, I mean, I can't imagine because Polly says he had every reason to lie back then. He doesn't now, though, right? There's nothing that can come from good for him from a recantation as far as his treatment in the system is concerned, as far as the state's concerned. No benefit to him. So, you know, I can't see why he would come forward now because it's not even like he's in prison in relation to this case. So trying to say he didn't do it doesn't help him. That he wasn't involved doesn't help him either. So, all right, let's keep going.
You did a pretty good job. I mean, but
I don't know that, I mean, in my mind, I messed up one time. I don't know that if I would have been his attorney, I don't know if I'd have spent that much time on roads, you know.
On the map.
I think I'd have spent more time on bringing up the point that I didn't see nobody or shoot nobody.
Yeah,
Because I never confessed to seeing nobody.
yeah.
I said I never seen her.
Mhm.
And I don't know.
Where did you get the whole, I mean,
Where did I get the idea of putting them together?
putting what together?
Putting Shane, Dylan, and Jack together?
Well, that wasn't what I was gonna ask, but answer that.
There was a report from the loggers. It was in.
All right. Perfect timing. We have the doctor herself.
Hello. I was
All
just waiting for your husband to leave so that we could hang out. No, I'm assuming he was on here. I couldn't
No,
find him.
he actually is. He is in Tennessee for a boys' trip for the Super Bowl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was the Super Bowl. I'd probably lose some
I wouldn't typically either,
popularity
except
saying
that I know, me too. Except that I now very well know because Bob and I got married Super Bowl weekend, so he didn't mention it beforehand. So we've just, as you can see, we've seen half of this, and we're just noting how he's, you know, he's not talking the way he did like at trial. You know, he's not kind of communicate. It's like he's communicating in a whole different way. And he explains that he was, you know, he was trained by the state's attorney. Do you have any idea what we heard him say that his mother told him that Holly was shot in the back of the head? And if I recall correctly, I know that defense counsel had these binders of the phone call of the letters that he wrote, but I also thought she said we have all your phone calls. Didn't she mention those as well?
Yes.
I mean, you'd think if there's a phone call there, have you guys heard phone calls? Jail
Oh,
calls?
yeah. They
So-
talked about it multiple times on the phone calls.
So mom's telling him she was shot in the head. Do you
Yeah, it was
remember?
going all around town, and he's getting the information from Shirley on the phone. That's accurate to what happened with the phone records.
Wow. I don't understand why she didn't think that was an important fact to bring out. Like, yeah, he could cover it. Like, well, yeah, I was still playing dumb, but she did so many other things like that. You know what I mean? Like, why not at least throw in that, but you know, your mother told you X and X month how she was shot in the head, you know? And at the um post conviction proceedings, we didn't hear from Jason Autry's counsel, right?
Well, Jason Autry didn't have counsel, then he was appointed counsel.
No, but I mean his trial lawyer, or the lawyer that he claims gave him all of his discovery, because he tried to
Because he
like,
was hiding behind attorney-client privilege to avoid having to be accountable for his shameful behavior. We're talking about Michael Scholl.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that question alone, did you provide him with his discovery? That's not covered by attorney-client privilege. And when did you provide him with his discovery?
Well, I mean, he was showing the discovery to Rita and Jimmy Austin when they would visit, and he was talking about it on calls. I had another inmate, an inmate's mom, reach out to me and I verified he was incarcerated with Jason, and the inmate and the inmate's mother were both separately talking to me about how he was openly talking at the time that he was cooperating with the state, and his mother was openly aware of it and talking about how he's going to be getting out soon. And he was saying that he was telling other inmates that, what was he saying?
He'd be out by Christmas was what he told his mom.
And he was saying that everyone will be mad at him now, but someday Zach and Dylan will be thankful because there's no way they ever would have gotten a fair trial now. And at least this way, he can tell the truth a few years later, and they can at least have a shot of trying to get a fair trial at some point in the future.
Wow. All right. So before we start this back up, is there any other background you want to lay for the interview, or just keep it rolling?
Yeah, keep it rolling. I think it
All right.
kind of speaks for itself. It was not edited in any way. I know the state likes to claim that the state had this from the start. There was no editing.
All right.
area
Mhm.
that they come by.
I'm going to back it
Them
up.
threes in
Can ask, but answer that.
See,
putting
so
Shane Dillon.
just to remind everyone, this is, well, he's about to say it again anyway, like how he put all these people together. What made him do that?
And Jack together.
Well, that wasn't what I was gonna ask, but answer that.
There was a report from loggers. It was in the area
Mhm.
that they come by. Them three together that morning, and one of the loggers made it look like one of them had been struggling or something. So I don't know how you look through the windshield and see somebody's been struggling or not, but I don't know. You know, that's where I got the idea that they were down there close. I mean,
Wait, what the hell is he saying? There's a police report about people struggling and what?
There is there's a report by 2 loggers who are in the area who report that at some point that morning they saw a truck with a guy who they actually identified as
I remember this.
this other sex offender who
Right.
looks a lot like Terry Britt. And then later they were interviewed and said, oh yeah, it could have been Terry Britt, looks like him too, in the same truck. But they had reported seeing this guy go by in this truck with a girl
In a
with
pink
blonde
shirt.
hair that was scrunched like it had been wet from the shower, who looked like she was bent over in the truck and appeared to be out of place in the vehicle.
Did they also mention the pink shirt? I thought somebody mentioned a pink
Yeah,
shirt.
that she was wearing a pink shirt.
Which is all the things that Holly Bobo would have looked like if it was her. So he's mentioning that he saw that police report. That's what he's referencing.
He's saying that he saw the IR of those interviews. And there's I don't remember if he gets into it in the interview or not, but a lot of people locally, I remember Burton Staggs hanging on this local reporter guy that's followed this case a lot. The piece of his story and testimony that gave it a lot of credibility for people is that he mentioned driving by and someone was out mowing their lawn. And then they had Brian Vitt, the off-duty police officer, that got on the stand and said, oh yeah, well, I was mowing my lawn that morning, just happened to be. So people thought, well, how could he know if he wasn't actually there? Well, because there's an IR
that he read
from Brian Vitt saying he was mowing his lawn that morning at that time. And then Brian Vitt was actually listed as a late filed witness after this whole Autry story came out.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that you have to take into account when you're assessing credibility. When a trial witness puts every piece together that's needed, like, and I heard the lawnmower and, you know, all the little like things that they need to actually make this story that they're telling, because otherwise they just have people like, well, I was outside and I heard screaming and I saw a dark-haired man's hair, whatever the case may be, you know, I saw a truck go this way, I saw this go that way, and you need someone to make all of those things somehow connected to the crime that we're talking about, and then you get this one witness that does all of those things. You're like, wait a minute.
But then if you ask him anything about that day or that time period that isn't part of his pre-planned testimony, all of a sudden he does not have any specific memory of events. There's definitely, I think, the discrepancy between his very detailed accounts of the things that were convenient to remember versus, well, I don't even know what, like boat guy that remembered everything about the shot in the boats, but then when asked what grade his kids were in that day, couldn't remember that.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so I'm going to bloop it back because I couldn't understand what he was saying, what he was getting at right here. But
one of them had been struggling or something. So I don't know how you look through the windshield and see somebody's been struggling or not, but I don't know. You know, that's where I got the idea that they were down there close. I mean, I don't approve of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if they would have done it, I wouldn't be reluctant, you know, to say, lock them up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
My question is going to be, where'd you get the whole thing about Guttner and seeing a body floating by? That just sounded crazy to me.
Far out. Yeah.
That sounded pretty crazy.
Before he gets into that, I just want to pause and say, he's mentioned this a couple of times, and I think it's like his own rationalization, but it's like seeds of the truth coming out, that he really had convinced himself that these guys did it. So in his mind, making up a story to convict them, so what? They did it.
I feel personally, I feel a lot of empathy or sympathy for Jason Autry. I think it's really easy to look at what he did and it was terrible. I'm not in any way condoning his choice. At the same time, you have someone who, from his vantage point, he had nothing to do with this. And then
His lawyer's telling him you're going down for life.
And he gets drawn in because this, Dylan is randomly bringing him into a story. He doesn't know the context or background of that. And I can totally see how he's brought in where it's these 4 guys, including him, and 2 of them are brothers, and then this close friend of theirs. And the cops are telling him that they're setting him up to try to take the fall for it. And if he doesn't testify against them, they're going to put him away. And Jason Autry, really, from what happened and the way he was pulled into it, that's a valid concern he had. Now, Zach was never, ever in any possible negotiation to provide any testimony against anyone else. He had never done anything other than steadfastly insist on a trial. But he doesn't know that. He knows what he's getting told. And when you're facing life and you're told there is no fair chance you're not going to get a trial, nobody's going to care if you're innocent or not, this is your only way out. I think a lot of us like to think that we would always do the right thing, but in difficult situations and you're looking at the rest of your life, it's easy. It's a lot easier than we all want to admit to justify something that could give us our freedom.
Right. And that's the times where you can see where somebody, we see people who are guilty think they can get on the stand and convince the jury of the truth, but someone who's innocent wanting to take the stand and feeling like if I can just explain it to them, they're going to understand. And then that usually goes sideways. I
think attorneys it's such a given. You keep your right to remain silent and you don't testify. And I can totally see in this case how they're so vulnerable because they had these criminal histories, and Zach's attorney's wanting to keep all of that out of the trial. And at the same time, without all that context, it doesn't make sense why they're there. The setup of it, or it just,
right.
It's almost like you just have to give. I am a firm believer in the truth, and I think most people are underestimated. And if you really just level with them and you give them the full truth, they're going to be able to be reasonable about it. But I think people get scared. They think, well, they're going to think he's a criminal, so it's all over. But.
Well, on the stand, though, the truth doesn't usually come out as fluidly as if you're just sitting in a room. So the story he's about to explain is that Katie, our very own Dr. Spirko here, is asking him about what was this story you told about a body floating in the water? So that's what they're getting in right now. If you watched his trial testimony, that was like, oh, the intestines were holding this body up, so I knew right where to go bury it. That's what we're about to get into.
Floating by, that just sounded crazy to me.
So far out, yeah.
That sounded pretty crazy to me.
Well, let's go back some years. And in that same spot, I found a person floating one time.
You actually really did?
Yeah, I found a person floating, and they were floating belly up.
What'd you do when you found them?
Huh?
What'd you do when you found them?
I called the police.
Yeah? When was that?
I wish I knew the year.
Wait, is this for real? Has anybody done Freedom of Information Act about any floating body, anytime in that area being reported between X date and X date?
I think he says like 2007. And I do remember having the plan that I was gonna FOIA it, and I never followed through with that. I'm curious. The reason I was curious to ask is I was just looking back during that time period when he was crafting this testimony, and there were some weird news articles coming out about, I think it was Japan or somewhere. There are these turtles that like bodies were getting dumped into a river or something and turtles were eating them. It was just this weird story that I thought, now if he read that somewhere while he's sitting in prison, that would have.
Because that's a weird thing for him to lie about. On the stand, he said he didn't do anything. He did not call the police. If you actually called the police, why wouldn't you say, yeah, I called the police, like right there on the stand? Wild. All right, let's see what he's got to say for himself.
It was 7 or 8, 2007, 2008. I was out of prison.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been too long ago.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So
Drove
the
up.
least believe, like, exactly true. Okay.
Yeah, they believed. I mean, they knew the body was decomposed, that I didn't put it there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, one
Yeah.
leg had done been eaten by the animals.
Yeah.
They fished it out, Yeah, I was going down to there and I seen a buzzard leave. Got up our clothes, I smell it and I look, I didn't, but the stomach is what was stuck up in the air, and that's what the old buzzard was standing on.
Yeah. That's disgusting. Oh, that's gross.
So yeah, that's where that come from.
What else in the story, were there any parts of the story that you're most concerned about being?
No, because, I mean, like Jennifer Nichols said, that we're gonna vet the story, and it's got to be, it's got to be untouchable.
I mean, it wasn't though.
I mean,
The timing of it, like, wouldn't even work.
I mean, it don't take much to put a man on in prison, does it? I mean,
Apparently not.
I think that ain't a piece of evidence.
Do you think that Karen believed you?
I don't know. I don't know if they believe it or not. I wondered that. But my attorney says it's a good old boy system. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. You in a good old boy system?
Yeah. They said my attorney said the conviction was locked, tight, sealed, with nobody untied. What he said.
Hold my beer.
Do you think?
What was that?
I said, hold my beer.
I mean,
Wrongful conviction just sit
right.
because some weak old ass men thought that was going to happen.
Right. No.
Do you think Jennifer Nichols thinks it was Brit?
I don't think Jennifer Nichols cares.
I agree with
I
that.
think she could care less, as long as there ain't nobody on TV hollering out. I bet 3 hours after that trial was over, Jennifer Nichols ain't thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet she ain't spent much time on it. Why would she? I don't know. I mean, it's bad, like I say, that was lower well shit, what I done, that was bad. Yeah, I'm about to commit suicide over it. I had to go to suicide tank 2 or 3 times over there.
They had you in the suicide tank too?
Yeah.
Over telling the story?
Yeah, I tried to commit suicide, never been, a couple times.
How'd you try?
Hanging.
Holy shit.
They come in and cut me down one time.
Holy shit. Before or after you testified?
After I testified, yeah, it felt me bad after
I mean-
testified. Man, I thought I had it bad before I testified. Shit. You won't catch old Jason doing that no more.
Well, I mean, that's what
You won't never catch me on the witness stand. I don't give a damn if it's to save 10 children's life. I ain't getting up there.
Mhm.
That's the worst I've ever felt in my life coming back.
So now, were you afraid to ask him, but what about to provide this recantation testimony here? As far as he's saying, I'm never going to get on a witness stand again.
He didn't.
I know.
Like, I didn't think that I
That
didn't know if I was not thinking, I guess, in those strategic terms. I was just getting his story, and so I
Right.
wasn't shocked when he was not wanting. I think he actually would have come if they had allowed me to have any communication with him, or allowed his attorney to have genuine communication with him, or not.
Well, they
Whatever
couldn't
happened that
prevent
ended
you
him
from
up
having.
on a ventilator.
They couldn't have prevented you from having a regular visit with him, like a public visit.
They're preventing me from even having phone contact with Zach.
How are they doing that?
Because they're not accountable to anyone. They have put my phone number on the, like, you're
Do
a
not call list.
criminal and can't talk to anyone at this prison list, and will not allow Zach to have contact with me.
I mean, Dana doesn't have any ideas about how to circumvent that, how to file something that would prevent them from preventing that. It's bizarre.
I think, I mean, at this stage, the hierarchy of issues they're needing to address with state misconduct, I think they probably just they're probably relieved that I'm not causing them any additional trouble, like
I know, but you have a rapport with him,
Yeah.
like you got him talking. I mean, I want to say talking, but for the guy that talked his fucking face off at trial, he's not doing a whole hell of a lot of talking here. Not to the extent that he was, but I mean, once you develop a rapport with someone, I can see why you're saying, well, if they would have let me talk to him again, I probably could have, convinced him to do it. But
I think if you want to build rapport and trust with people, you've got to involve yourself in their inner community and understand their culture, and invest yourself in being someone who shows them that you're not just there to manipulate or to get something from them. I had a trusting relationship with his mom. I had a trusting relationship with several members of his community, and I had followed through with what I said I was going to do. So I think he absolutely would have
trusted you.
Yeah, and he
But the state would have put the blocks up anyway. There was nothing that whether he would have listened to you at the end of the day, the state was saying, no, you can't never bring this monster into a courtroom. It's much too dangerous.
Did. Well, and I think he would have, the attorney that was appointed to him was a great attorney, and I think would have worked really well with Jason. I don't think he would have had a chance, because one of the assets I had going in there to talk to him is I'm not an attorney. And I think with everything he's gone through, the amount of distrust you have in the system, just being anyone who's not an attorney or a judge, gives you an advantage. So, but, and at the end of the day, what's that?
Do you know if his mom ever tried to get him to just write his own affidavit, just however the hell he wanted to write it? Said, I lied. This is why I lied. This is how I knew the facts.
They wouldn't. So after I'd met with him, I had a follow-up visit scheduled because they were having an issue with the fact that it wasn't under oath. So I had a follow-up visit scheduled, and I had contacted the holding facility and asked if they had a notary on staff or if I should bring one with me. And they canceled the visit and wouldn't allow me to go in. They wouldn't allow him to provide an affidavit. They would not allow. They appointed his federal appointed attorney was the same attorney that was appointed to handle Terry Britt's deal.
Yeah, attorney is going to let him testify, let him swear an oath that he perjured himself.
Well, and I don't know if it's known or not. He was going to testify by Zoom on March 21st in one of the early evidentiary hearings. And the morning of, the prison was acting as though they were having technological issues with the Zoom. What turned out to be the case is that Jason Autry was put on a ventilator a few days before that, 2 or 3 days before that.
Was this one of his suicide attempts that he's speaking of? Oh,
nope. He was in a federal holding facility that he'd recently just arrived to, was in solitary, in federal custody with no commissary, no contacts at this facility. and they say that he randomly had a drug overdose or something, and was no toxicology reports that I know of, but was randomly found unconscious in his cell.
That's crazy. I mean, there's so many weird things that happen with this, but the state fighting like tooth and nail to keep this guy out, like that's just shocking to me that the judge wouldn't have said, I want to hear from this guy. However, you don't want to bring him, then we bring him by Zoom. But either way, I want to hear from this guy. I don't understand how this defense didn't have the right to subpoena him. And if the state didn't want to bring him, then to allow his testimony remotely.
That's what happened. And then he was put on a ventilator when he was
Right, but post-conviction stuff, you can delay. You can say, okay, well, now we need to wait 10 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it's post-conviction. Like, I've had, one where we're just every time we go, the state asks for more time. The judge is like, yeah, sure, whatever you need. Because it's like, guy's been in 20 years. He's going to be in for life. So so who cares is how they kind of look at it,
Yeah.
Wow.
They don't play by the rules.
No.
At all.
But it's just bizarre because you can ask for a notary in prison and they'll typically come notarize whatever you want them to notarize. You don't even have to tell them what they're notarizing. Just, I'm going to sign in front of you and you're notarizing my signature. Strange. All right.
Knowing that you just lied and put an innocent man in prison.
What was that like seeing Zach sitting there?
You want the truth? I never made eye contact with him.
You know what? I watched that in the trial to see if he ever made eye contact.
I never made eye contact with him. Plus, his attorney was right there in my face the whole time. Won't know about the damn road.
Mm-hmm.
Whispering. The judge said there, you can't supposed to be able to whisper.
Yeah.
How did you come to be part of that group?
So, Katie, just for people who don't know, who is the other voice we're now hearing?
So that's Nicole. She is a friend of mine who has donated countless hours of pro bono labor assisting me in this case and joined me to see Jason. And she also went with me to visit Zach in prison and then several sources around Parsons. So Nicole Weiser.
All right. Now I'm thinking why they couldn't have, if he's unavailable, why hearsay testimony, but no, I get it. All right.
Or have they were going to have, because we had Nicole there on one of the early court dates in case, because they were trying to keep me off the witness list and pressure Doug into saying that he wouldn't call me as a witness. And then when he did, then they were going to call me as a witness. And it was just, so he had Nicole, because I had Nicole set up the GoPro so she could have been a custodian of record.
Right. Well, and she's a witness to all of it. She's sitting right there. So part of the conversation, at least for the initial hearings, not the final hearing, but you can use, you don't need an affidavit. They could have used like your video, but come the actual hearing, you either need you need the live testimony. But all right. See, it's like he doesn't have shit to say.
I don't know. I mean, Zach, me and his daddy, I used to buy drugs from Zach's daddy. And that's how I met Zach when he was a younger boy. Dylan, he was just drugged around by Zach, He was kind of Shane my cousin. So.
What do you think? What are your thoughts on Shane?
I never really liked Shane too much. Yeah. I mean, I always believed that he was capable of something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Because of maybe the lack of the teaching growing up. You know what I mean? I could see him doing it.
What about Zach?
No, not really.
Yeah, I didn't get that
Not really.
sense
No.
from him.
I don't know about Dylan and Shane, though.
I mean, he had Zach asking him left and right. Dog's going crazy up there. Left and right, murdering people. Will you help me murder this one? They talked about murdering that one, then they're going to murder this one. You know, I was thinking about the timeline that he gave at trial, and if you get into it here, just stop me and we'll wait. I should remember everything because I listened to this on the podcast, but it's like I remember it as I'm hearing it. I don't understand when this essay took place time-wise.
Because you can't.
All right. It's like he put this story together at trial, and it seemed to me his story did not allow, unless they were trying to say that they were assaulting a dead body that was already shot and bleeding when the essay happened, because he says he was there at 9 a.m. or something, right?
Well,
That's
and
what
even if it was a necrophilia situation, they wouldn't have had time that afternoon either. Zach was, their time is accounted for.
They don't call that essay for the purposes of a trial anyway. The state's trying them with sexually assaulting a live Holly Bobo.
Mm-hmm.
But she was in the back.
There's no time for it to have happened. There's no space for it to have happened. It's just
even under his fictional story.
Even in his fictional story,
right.
You can't.
Did that get brought up? I know we're still watching the trial. So does the defense flesh that out, that where you heard, because she was very specific with him on time. I mean, to the, and then 10 minutes to prepare your drugs, and then 15 to 30 minutes to get there, then how long you're there. And then it was a little shorter to get back because he took this little shortcut, so it's like, but she's shot already. So did they ever flesh that out during trial to say, where is the time for this essay to have occurred?
No, because they didn't even in Amy Wyrick's closing, she's saying that the state never presented any theory that had Zach taking her from the house. The state never presented any theory about what happened. The state had no story about who picked Holly up from, who actually kidnapped her, where, what.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit in the, now, not having the security camera footage at the time allowed more ambiguity. So before having,
when you say the security footage, you're talking about the gas station and the ATM, or just the ATM?
Yeah. Well, having both, I think both there is helpful, because this whole, we didn't know, that could be any truck, but it's the truck that you found and you had on your computer when you were pretending not to own this footage. So you identified that this truck was relevant somehow.
Right.
That footage was helpful from the timestamp. And then I think because you can't see, and we never suggested you can't see the co-defendants inside the truck. We know that they were there. We had Zach telling a detailed story before that footage came out about backing in, and then you had the exact truck entering backwards into the ATM, and there's a corresponding bank statement that shows the withdrawal. Even with all that, I think the footage next door at the gas station was helpful, because you see the same truck at that gas station and Dylan inside buying snacks while the truck's outside. And so having the timestamp of knowing exactly a space where they were and the exact time point, then you can work it back and see. And I think that's why it was buried. And that's why they went after me, and they were so angry that this ATM footage was uncovered. I think they realized the story was crap and they were already kind of stuck with it.
But
and so
ATM footage is definitely tied to a transaction. So you said my ATM was stolen. They say, okay, well, it was used on this date and this time. Then they pull up the corresponding video of the transaction. So I'm so lost on how they're acting like no one knows whose truck that is or who is doing those things. Because they did. Am I wrong that the defense didn't have the transaction either back then, or did they?
We had Shane Austin's bank statements, and those bank statements had the dates on them, but not the timestamps. And the bank said the dates are accurate, but we don't have the timestamps for these transactions. And so that's why you need the actual ATM footage. It doesn't, I don't understand that, but it doesn't, but I did
They couldn't
observe the bank statements, and there were not times on them. It was just, but it references the ATM withdrawal that day from that bank. And so I knew they were there because there was what time I didn't know, but I had a reference just from the other time points that, it could only be so much, but they were desperate to have us not get that. And I don't know what footage actually existed in the raw ATM because we still have never received that.
And like you said, they had that footage. So that had to be the relevant footage. Otherwise, you have an entire 24-hour footage and you say when the fuck you see them on there. I mean,
well,
and
they were denying
me.
having it. They were denying having it the entire time. They said it didn't exist. And if he wouldn't be on the ATM camera if it did exist, but it's gone. And then like as soon as I found it, then they stole it. I mean, they straight up stole it, and they purposely did it with an administrative subpoena through the TBI to keep the judge from knowing they had it. Then they were lying to Doug, to Zach's attorney, about having it. I knew they went and picked it up. I knew Kathy Ferguson signed the administrative search warrant and then had another agent go pick it up that day because I had a conversation with a bank manager and I saw the administrative subpoena. And while all that was going on, Jennifer Nichols had not gotten on as a judge yet. So she was still the PCR attorney for the state. She was straight up lying to Doug about them having it. And so what was going on in court is they were actively lying about it. And while actively lying about it, Zach looks over and on Chris Boiano's computer iPad, and I'm seeing it at the same time sitting behind. And then I'm looking back because Reed and Jimmy Austin are a couple rows back and they're seeing it too. And we're all looking like, that looks like the truck. What is that he has up on his computer? And Zach starts, getting all excited, tugging on Crystal Itu's like jacket, like pointing because he recognized the truck at the gas station in backwards. And so they got caught red-handed with it. They were emailing it amongst themselves because what had happened was Doug knew that they were lying because I had confirmed the administrative subpoena, but Doug had never called Nichols out on it in advance. So when he was in court, he brought it up to the judge. And that was the first time they found out that we knew they had the ATM recorder that they were pretending not to have. And so as soon as that came out, they started rustling and whispering among themselves. And at this point, Amy Wyrick was appointed because I remember Amy Wyrick like booking it, like running out of the courtroom while the judge is talking, while the proceedings going on with her cell phone. And then they start emailing. And so I think Brent Booth probably emailed the footage to Chris Boiano and he stupidly opens it up on his iPad.
So were you under the impression that the bank had said they cannot link video footage to the corresponding transaction? Because this is 2017, right? 2017?
Well, it was 2011 when
2011.
And it's 2011 in West Tennessee.
So maybe not.
Now, what the bank had said was that the bank manager had actually gotten in touch with Reed and Jimmy Austin. And what he had said was that he had pulled the bank, that you need the security camera footage for the timestamps. And he had pulled the security camera footage and offered it to the TBI, but TBI said they didn't want it. And he was uncomfortable with that because it seemed like something they should want. So he had reached out and made the Adams aware. But by that point, it had been, so that happened in 2011 or 2012. When the arrest came down in 2014, because they hadn't they actually had and hid it on the drive, but their position was that they had not retained this footage. And so by
But they
2014,
retained specifically so you couldn't go pick it up, right? Is this the same footage we're talking about?
that's the same footage. In 2014, they pretended they didn't have it on the drive. And when the defense tried to subpoena it, the bank had said that it was gone. They'd already recorded over it. And so what I was trying to get was a recorder that had the footage recorded over it, because I had a forensic video guy that thought that he could recover it. And when they figured out that I was pursuing that and that I had an avenue to likely get it, that it had been located, they slithered in and stole it and lied about it.
Unbelievable. I mean, I guess it's possible in 2011, like you said, in a rural bank, that the footage wasn't tied to the transaction, but that would have been unusual. It seems by 2012 they were all doing it, but
It seemed odd to
crazy.
me. And the footage we have, the still shots, I don't understand how that'd be helpful for the bank. So it just seems weird to me. They don't have video footage, and that they don't have footage of the actual transaction. They have footage of the vehicle immediately before and after. And the forensic recovery specialist that we had, he reviewed the copy of the recorder they provided us. And he said the files absolutely look like they'd been messed with, and he would need the original to analyze anything because something had been done with them.
Man, that's just so fucking crazy. It's just so crazy. All right, so let's hear what he thinks about Dylan and Shane some more.
I don't think Dylan. I don't know. I mean, they say he's stupid, but I carried him out on the river. He didn't act this. I mean, he had enough sense to make it back anyway.
Yeah.
I carried him out of the river. Do you know what that's referring to?
I don't remember. I had distracted myself.
Oh, so he
yes,
said,
yes. Because Dylan had well-documented intellectual deficits, and his mom's a school teacher. She had him evaluated in all the right special education. It wasn't a secret. It was documented. He had a special ed completion certificate from high school because he was in inclusive special ed. And so that's a relevant factor, because he was so manipulated during this whole interrogation and confession deal. So what Autry's saying is that in Autry's impression, Dylan didn't seem that dull, because he had sent him in the boat to go back to the shore, and he made it back. Like, basically he could take
when's he talking about? That just some random time?
Yeah, because they would go fishing sometimes. So he's saying, like, whenever it was this random time, he's like, well, I stayed out in the, he took the boat to go back, and he was able to dock it and he's basically saying he can't be that stupid, because at least he could get the boat to the edge of the water and get out of the water. And that's, from a lay perspective, I understand the brain can be a complicated organ to understand. Mechanical abilities, visuospatial abilities, Dylan was a great auto mechanic. He couldn't read very well or understand whether he's being manipulated by other people, because that is an entirely different brain region and cognitive domain. But he absolutely he was a functioning person he couldn't live alone. He needed support he lived with his grandparents. But I think it's understandable to me that people who interacted with him on a daily basis doing things like fishing might overestimate his cognitive abilities.
All right.
I don't know. Both of them boys is just like me, fucked up on drugs. Just hanging out doing the wrong shit, yeah. I don't know.
Do you think about it? Like, do you still think about it with Zach? Do you think?
Yeah, I do. I think about Zach a lot.
What do you think?
I wonder if this is gonna work.
If what's gonna work?
This. And I'm interested in seeing his release.
You are?
Yeah, I dedicated it. And I put that dedication together since I talked to you on the phone. I wasn't even, when I talked to you, I didn't really even think. I actually told myself I'll deny the visit when she comes.
Yeah.
But I got to thinking about it the other night, letting her in Iraq, and I think it's the right thing to do. I really do. And it doesn't matter to me now whether I come out of this any better or any worse. I still want to see what's right in that. You see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
And if that helps me sleep better than that, so it. I got myself in this shit. I know how to get out. I knew not to have a deer rifle. Come on. You know what I mean?
I knew not to have a deer rifle. So that's where he's talking about his 922G, his federal charges that he's in for.
The second round of them, because he was in for that in 2012 when he was then arrested for the Holly Bobo stuff. And then a month after he got out from the Holly Bobo stuff, he was again arrested for deer hunting. And so he was looking.
I have to say, I think deer hunting 10 years is a little steep. But
19 years.
19 years.
He got more time for having a deer rifle on private property where he was allowed to be there than Terry Britt got for a sexual assault, kidnapping, attempted rape, and having 3 stolen firearms with the
and that would have been because he was a felon in possession of a weapon.
Yes, it was felon, and they used a career criminal. And so, and I saw a couple in the comments, people asking where he was, because we refer to, I guess the state was referring to it as a federal holding facility. He was at Shelby County Penal Farm. It's like the jail in Memphis, but we couldn't find him anywhere in the records. And so I had to go through personal connections to figure out where he was. He was awaiting sentencing on that deer charge. And so he had nothing to gain from this and a lot to lose. I think he was screwed over bad because of this. I mean, he got 19 years. That's a life sentence for him.
Crazy. All right.
I was guilty of the gun they caught me with out there at Skies. Now, is there some confidence? Is there some little straw that might break the camel's back? Maybe. But what are you thinking right now? What are you thinking? Do you think that I'm playing some old poor pitiful me story, or am I on the side of reality?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think the system was against you and you didn't have an option, and then you basically put in a situation where you're the villain and the scapegoat.
Look here, Mike appeared up on Zoom meeting like this to me a few days before I got out, right? He said, Train, it's on to tell you something. They call me Train. He said, Train, I want to tell you something. He said, yeah, you can go home a day or two, right? He said, I like you, man. He said, be careful when you're around these gas stations and bars and stuff like that. He said, anybody will pull out old gun and shoot you, right? And he said, be prepared, protect yourself out there. So
well, that's it. It's like, what is even the freedom you're getting? Because they put you in a situation to be this horrible person.
As soon as I got out of prison, a mile down the road, this person hands me a gun. Here, I bought this for you. God, right there. I instantly stick it in my pocket because I've done it all my life, And I ride still. I traded for that deer rifle at Skies.
Who do you think he's trying to say his lawyer was implying was going to shoot him?
I think anyone. I think from I took it that what we were talking about is you just went on the stand and said some crazy, horrible shit referring to Holly Bobo as the bitch that's still alive, and completely in a really engaging animated way implicated yourself in this horrible crime.
And now you're
Everyone
walking the
out there
street.
wants you dead, so watch your back, because there's like anyone who shoots you is going to be a hero.
Okay.
And that's the point. It's like Zach and Dylan, they don't want to get out of prison on some technicality that, you know, it was ineffective assistance of counsel, but they're still, I mean, they want the truth to come out. And because what's the point of having your freedom when you have this narrative that's not freedom?
And I've
Same
had
thing with,
clients
I
that
think
want
that's a
that.
lot of why Shane Austen committed suicide. He was sick of his parents had to drive him everywhere. He couldn't go anywhere on his own. He was run out of town, and his drug addiction worsened substantially because because law enforcement's running around spreading all these rumors too with the authority of law enforcement. So it's one thing if it's community gossip, but when these cops are telling everyone, oh, we know it's them, we got all this evidence.
Right.
I can't imagine.
So he's rationalizing now by saying, well, my lawyer told me I better be prepared at any given moment to defend myself. Then somebody offers me a gun. You know, I didn't know if he was trying to say he was set up, like somebody offered him a gun, and that
I took it as more, I guess, I think I'm a little, I took it more as giving me the context of the situation. I think he's taking accountability. I think that's also relevant. I don't get the sense that's bullshit. I think that's what happened. And I get how someone who's a career criminal and is always carrying a firearm, and then they feel like their life's, I don't think that's an exaggeration. Right. Or inaccurate for him to suggest that Michael Scholl told him, watch out. So I think it's a bit of both. He's explaining why it was reasonable from his perspective while also saying, I did it.
Right. All right, let's go.
And I decide I don't need it. And I don't need one. Once I decide I don't need the damn pistol, should have got rid of it. I traded for a deer hunt. I want to go deer hunting.
Will you, the whole gun thing?
Yeah.
Will you clarify that? How did that guy, that Victor Dinsmore?
So there was a gun at one point that Shane had. It was a 357 at a Spirko restaurant in the end of it.
Wait, is that the longer one?
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad showed me that.
Yeah. He had it out showing it around, you know. And so that's the last gun I seen, the last one Doc had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one I told Dinsmore about that gun. Mm-hmm. Now, whether they went back and got it back or not, I don't know. But the gun they found, and that gun's not the same gun.
Yeah.
All right. So that's accurate, right? That they actually, the gun that they tried to say he used, he had already given to somebody else.
The gun that Jason Autry originally tried to say was used was a 357, and it couldn't have been the murder weapon for a few different reasons. So then they pull this 32 revolver that looks nothing like a 357 Magnum out of the lake from Victor Dinsmore, and Autry's already said it was the 357 and described the gun in detail, accurate to what that gun looks like. And Victor Dinsmore had separately said that it was a 38 with a 357 interchangeable chamber. And then they pull this gun out of the water that someone who knows a lot less about guns than either of them, but knows some basic stuff, is like, well, I wouldn't confuse those two. And so he's saying, then they pulled this 32 out of the water, and they're like, well, I guess you're mistaken, it's this gun. So they're just blatantly changing their testimony to fit with whatever evidence they were able to
come up with.
Yeah.
One's a 32, the other's a 30. Mm-hmm. Now, whether they went back and got it back or not, I don't know. But the gun they found, and that gun's not the same gun.
Yeah.
One's a 32, the other's a 38.
Yeah.
37. Yeah. But I told them that the gun was traded to Dinsmore. So Dinsmore wife, I reckon, the way I understand it, when found it,
Yeah,
or told the police where it was or something.
yeah. But that was, I'm trying to remember, the gun you testified about, were you testifying about that, was it that little, it was that little handgun?
Yeah, that was the one that had to be it.
Because that's the one that Dinsmore
found.
found?
Yeah, that matched what Dinsmore said. Hey, Jason, you made a mistake, send your own gun. You're right.
Okay. And so that, you're basically saying that that was Shane's gun?
That one wasn't. The
Yeah.
one they found was, I don't know whose gun that was.
Yeah,
Shane's gun is one I'm sure Jimmy still had.
yeah, this is the one he showed me, it's like a long barrel and,
Black handle.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, cheap.
So at some point, did he give a statement saying it was this long black barrel gun? And then they told him, like he's saying, they were like, well, you're wrong. It's this little 32. And then he was like, oh, yeah, I was wrong. It was a 32.
In the statement he gave in February of 2017 that Kathy Ferguson wrote up June 30th of 2017 in a detailed multi-page fashion with multiple quotes.
Even though she had no notes and no recording.
Mm-hmm. In that very detailed, expansive statement, he said it was the 357 Magnum. And then the gun was pulled out of the water, I think in July. And so several months later, they then couldn't match his story to the accurate gun. So they really just tried to pull a fast one and have Victor Dinsmore and Jason Autry both testify to a completely different gun than was previously identified and hope no one would notice, which kind of
They
worked.
didn't notice? It worked?
I mean,
Oh, my
Zach's
Lord.
in prison.
anything else in the story that would be potentially helpful for me to look into, to?
I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know.
That's such a sign of relief. That's somebody who's just gotten something off their chest, the way his body posture is.
Right.
I found him to be quite, I did not see very many signs of deception in this interview across the board. There were a couple points where I got a distinct impression he knew more than he was sharing. But I don't believe that he was being dishonest or deceptive or hiding anything that was critical to the narrative he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, it seems his, less talking, less facts, less detailed is likely the normal him, because that guy at trial was like, I mean, oh, wow, this guy knows a lot of things, can talk on a lot of things. He's just got fact after fact after fact. And here you've got a guy, he's slim on words.
Well, I think it was, it's fun because they make such a, they're acting like I went and got him all high in there. And then when he's gorked out his mind, I'm feeding him this bullshit story to say. I did ask him if he was if he had taken anything. Just I'm around a lot of people who are high or withdrawing from various substances, and you're in a prison, and I know what Tennessee is like. It's easier to get drugs in prison than out of prison. If you're doing drugs out of prison, you're probably on drugs in prison. And so I asked him, and I did a brief neurobehavioral status on him just to see where his if his eyes were super dilated, if he had nystagmus, just to kind of get a sense. I found him to be pretty baseline, and he seemed coherent, and I found him to be able to give me informed consent to not consent because but assent to participate in the interview. And I think when someone's a chronic big time substance abuser, you're not going to get I think that having a neuropsychologist interview them who can assess whether they're coherent and of sound mind while giving a statement is much more responsible than saying, well, they have to be clear of drugs in their system. If you do drugs every day and you're clear of drugs in your system, you're going through withdrawal and you're not at a baseline. You want to interview someone at a baseline.
Right.
And his baseline is not no drugs in your system, but I think he was high at trial. That testimony, he was too amped up for me to think that
Right.
it
He was much more animated.
he seemed like he'd taken an Adderall or something.
Right. Right.
I don't know, see, I don't know who I was told. You might talk to Angela. She's out of prison now.
Okay.
She probably,
Angela was his girlfriend at the time that he was supposedly supposed to have lunch with, right?
Angela Scott, yep.
could be a little bit more precise on what times that she was working the car. I ain't even too sure she was working. She testified, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. And Rebecca Earp did too.
Yeah.
How much of the story did you come up with on your own from the IRs?
Well, I never really just developed a whole lot of it on my own. I had help, I had help getting the story together.
Who was helping and how did they help?
Well, Clark Chapman helped me. Mike Joe helped me. Robert, he never did. Robert never did do much.
Mm-hmm.
He never did know much. He just, I don't know why he was there. But, so what was the question?
How did they help?
How did they help? Well, you give you information. They're privileged to a lot more information than we are.
Mm-hmm.
So they know privileged information that we don't have, and they share it.
So how does that go? I mean, I can't put myself in a situation where I'm trying to get somebody to admit to something they didn't do. How it just seems shameful. Like, how do they do that?
Well, it's very shameful, very hard, I believe. I don't know that there's a textbook story. I mean, I don't know that there's an answer to that. How can you do that other than you being a large amount of situations, that force you to be there?
No, I guess because I'm not asking rhetorically. I mean, how did that work? Like, you met with it, like, practically speaking, how did the story develop?
Well, trying to get out of prison. Thank you.
I want to understand how getting out of prison, but I mean, like, you met with them. How did it go? Like, the back and forth? You had some initial story, and then they tell you no, or yet, like, how did they?
Well, when we started, they said, "Did you see Jack that day?" And I said, "Yeah, I believe I did."
Mm-hmm.
What y'all do?
Mm-hmm.
And then you tell them, "Hell, you down here, and then you done this, and you done that." That's your story for that line, because that's not going to change. And you just add to that. I guess it's just layer upon layer of stuff.
Like, do you remember what the initial story was?
No, there never was no initial story. I mean, like, he would call and change it or nothing like that. It wasn't nothing like that. It was more of him talking to me, and then whatever he done when he left, the next day when he come back, will that be good or that'd be bad,
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can imagine, let's just assume the lawyer thinks that he is rightfully confessing and he's trying to help him piece together the time. I'm just saying, like, just for this exercise here. And you say, okay, well, we know that you were, so that couldn't have been that time because you were here on this time. Like, if I had a client trying to recreate a day and I have the hard data, I am going to try to help him piece his memory back together based on things that we know. Well, but you called him at this time and this time. So would that have been then, or would it have been after? So, like, it makes sense that even when the state is going over his story with him, now they would have had to know that they were feeding him information, but still that they're like feeding him the actual facts, even more than what he might have seen on his, like, well, I've got the records of my phone call, so I know, like, a roundabout where I was. They're going to give you those data points to help you develop it, either way. So
I think the difference in what you're describing in completely ethical and like expected attorney behavior versus what happened with him is you're describing giving a client information about their whereabouts or what they were doing that day from objective data sources to jog their memory or provide context, whatever. That to me is very different than providing a defendant with a bunch of discovery evidence that has nothing to do with their whereabouts or what they were doing, but is completely about other people and information that they would have no firsthand knowledge about, so they can craft a story that doesn't interfere with any of those data points that they can't get around.
Right, right. Which is obviously an important factor, in which he explains, well, we knew certain things had to work into those times.
They're vetting every story you give them, so you can't lie and say, well, I was here at this, if you know you wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to maintain some point of truth. And when you got public and the TV hollering, these guys done this to Holly Bobo, they've already added the story. The news know the story just well, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was about cheer.
And I just want to say, like, if he was lying, he could have taken that opportunity to say, oh yeah, I would say something, and they would come back and say, well, no, you got to change it like this. So that tells you he's not lying, because why not lie? Why not say, well, yeah, I would call them and I would tell them this, and then they would tell me, well, you've got to add this into it. You got to change this. And he was like, well, it wasn't like that, because I had to tell the one story of like what I did, and then ooze it around. If you're going to lie, just fucking lie.
The neuropsychologist in me just got like giddy while you're saying all that, because that is exactly it. I'm purposely asking him some of these questions in subtle ways to kind of feed him an opportunity to make himself less culpable and someone else more at fault, because I want to see what he's going to do with it. And that's
he didn't bite.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right.
Yeah, that's how we'll play it.
Were they, and I think when he was bringing the paperwork for you to go through, how that just a lot of it. Did he just sift through and find the ones that he thought was relevant, or?
Well, I went through it so much, I began to know it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the statements, I already know what that say,
Mm-hmm.
You can and you can't really get a story from that,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it worked good for turning millions to others. They done good at that.
What were they saying that Zach was saying? Were they telling you Zach was saying stuff about you?
Zach had, what was it, 5-7 field reports?
Yeah, but they all said the same thing. They were all just consistent story.
Were they?
Yeah. He was with Shane and Dylan getting Xanax bars and getting fucked up. With Sonic.
They proved all that, didn't
Yeah, I have the bank statements.
they? Yeah.
And he apparently went to Joe's video where Rebecca Earp was working, and he was all fucked up on his Xanax, and he took like 4 or 5 bars and like headbutted her. And someone called the cops, but no one responded because everyone was looking for Holly Bobo. So I'm trying to find that call because I'm sure that's logged.
Yeah.
And we heard her testify to that at trial. I'm still trying to figure out where the time for that happens. And I guess that goes to what you're saying. Like, they never say who is where when. So if
The call from Joe's video to 911 for the domestic between the two of them fighting out back of the store was at 3:27 p.m.
Okay. But weren't they still burying the body? Because he went back at 2:30 or 2:30. The body's already done.
Oh yeah, by Autry's story, they would have been at probably Dottie's with Dinsmore fighting about who's going to hit it first, even though she would have already been dead by then.
Right. Jeez.
Because depending on what time that was, that might be helpful. So I'm trying to track that down.
911 would have had that.
Yeah, they'll have to have it.
Yeah, especially if you subpoena
Yeah. Oh, we'll subpoena it.
Wonder why she didn't do that the day of the trial. Look, that would have been the perfect day for that, didn't it?
Yep.
And something to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Besides back road.
How'd you think it was going to go? Do you think?
I had already been asked every question she could dream of asking.
Mm-hmm.
And
I froze, but I couldn't help but laugh. I don't know if you, because he said would have given her something to talk about other than the back roads, referring to for everyone who watched the trial testimony in the past 2 days, the whole cross examination we went over yesterday. She's got maps going all through all the roads he's going through.
Has he said yet about never seeing the body? I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think he has.
No, he
And
did. He said, I don't know why she didn't ask me about the. I mean, I said I never saw the body. I don't know who it was, but I don't know if that would have helped all that much.
I thought that was kind of hilarious in a screwed up way, because it was just true. He's saying I'd have asked less questions about all them back roads and maybe asked about how I never said I saw the body.
Right. No, yeah, we laughed about that when he said that as well.
You're not wrong. But
No.
as irritating as all those questions were and as unhelpful as they were at the time, damn, I was relieved to have all that testimony just tied in there when we got the ATM footage, because we had such an airtight map
Timeline,
and
right.
yeah.
And we were talking about that then. We were like, okay, is she about to pull this all together at the end and like, prove how this timeline can't happen, which I don't know, maybe we're still waiting for it, I guess.
She's a Moses. She got us up to the she just couldn't walk through the gates herself.
Katie's like, don't hold your breath. Teaser, she never pulls it together. Spoiler alert.
I think she did a lot of good for Zach, and I feel for her because I have seen her in court on other cases, and I don't think this was her best representation of how she handles a courtroom for a lot of reasons. And
I mean, she explained it.
Yeah. 4 of them at one time asking me questions in a room, 2 attorneys and 2 prosecutors, just fast and go, boy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And how would they be telling you how to answer the questions?
Well, once you got trained to your court tongue, so to speak,
mm-hmm.
Your answer is short and sweet, to the point. That's it. Look at the jury.
Where did you get if your records reflect that?
That come off, that's me.
That's you?
Yeah, because you can't argue it, can you? Why would you?
Yep.
I mean, that's a losing argument.
You're not an idiot. I think is there anything else that you think would be helpful for anything else that you wanted?
I don't know. I just hope that you have the ability and the want to get to the end of this, because just like I told you a while ago, I set my mind to it, and I may even attack it a little bit in the media. I can do that.
Yeah. I mean, anything you want to say to your son, I can get him a video. I don't know what your relationship with him is.
Nah, I'm going to let that.
Yeah.
Just let that ride on.
Mm-hmm.
His old dad's going to be out of the picture for a while. Maybe it's best. We had a bad time the last time we was together.
So I asked him I knew that there was I knew that was a difficult relationship. As he's shaking, he's like fidgeting with the GoPro little setup, so you can't really hear it, and with the lighting in there, he teared up when I brought up his son. He's fidgeting with that and trying to avoid me seeing that he's tearing up.
Okay.
I'm a man's man. We just don't. He and I just don't. Me and my dad, when I was a boy, my dad probably a little harder on me than I was him. I don't know. I love Jay, but sometimes it's at a distance, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and tell you what made me mad. We got to drinking, and he got up on his sister. When he got to drinking, he had her bent over the stove, and I said, it's your turn over the stove, boy. You know what I mean? He didn't like his turn over the stove, so told him a little fit and run off.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, I'm still a boss. I may be old and gray, but I still got
Turn off?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, we're back on.
You're gonna talk to him himself?
I'm gonna go up there.
Hell yeah.
He's in Thompson Federal Penitentiary. I'm gonna go see him. I don't know if he'll talk to me, but he probably will. What? Tell me everything that will be helpful. So you knew him?
Yeah, so I was at O'Bine with him.
Now,
No,
who
to
are
be-
you asking?
So what had just happened here, we had just cut the interview after the last bit about his son, and we were packing up, and he starts talking about, I had mentioned, who else are you going to talk to? And I said, well, I'm trying to get to set up to go see Terry Britt in this federal before he gets out of prison. And he said, oh, you're going to talk to Terry Britt? You know, I celled with him. And it's like, going to turn this GoPro back
Yeah,
on.
right, back
What?
on. And for those of you who don't know, Terry Britt is the Defense's and Trial and Error podcast's prime suspect. Can I say that? Allegedly. Who they believe allegedly is responsible for this crime, and that we have seen a lot of the evidence that we've gone through so far implicates him allegedly.
I think, someone had mentioned this when Trial and Error is going to come back with some new stuff. I think this case is an onion of many layers, and we've got some crazy shit we're going to be sharing pretty soon along the lines of what exactly was going on and all of this cover up and who was responsible. There was significantly more evidence that aligned with Terry Britt than the zero evidence that they had against Zach and others. But so to give a little context, in 2012, Jason Autry is having a meeting with Frank Kelsey, an ATF agent who he was informing for. And he's desperately upset because he had went and bought some drugs. And then he's trying to kind of play it like, well, I thought I was doing this, you know, as an informant, I was buying it. So I thought this was fine. And now you're charging me with these drugs. And Frank Kelsey saying, well, you have to like go through us to buy the drugs. You can't just go get drugs and do them and say that you were. But he's upset and desperate going on about wanting a deal. And Frank Kelsey saying, well, the only way, these are some serious charges. The only way you could possibly get any kind of deal for something like this, you'd have to solve a murder, like this Holly Bobo case. You'd have to solve a murder of that magnitude in order to get a deal now. And
he couldn't do it back then.
He's telling Frank Kelsey, who's your suspect? Put me in a cell with them and I'll get the information. Put me in the cell. I can talk to anyone. I can get you whatever information you need. I don't know anything, but use me and I'll find something, like trying to hook himself up for this deal. And then
the defense didn't have reports about this, or how did you find out about this?
Obsessively going through this case file and layers of files. And after a while, I kind of figured out their approach. So I would spend the majority of my time on the file folders that looked the most meaningless. So that,
well, I'll tell you, that sounds like information I would have included in a post-conviction petition, just for information that either shows ineffective assistance, that they didn't rely on it or know about it, or if it wasn't turned over. Because had that been told to the jury, obviously that is very compelling, that he is saying, like, I'll do anything. Get me in a cell with him. I can hook you guys up. I'll do, like, that's
desperate. And then lo and behold, right after that, he ends up in a cell in O'Brien with Terry Britt. They placed him with Terry Britt right after that. And I think some of that may have just
who
been
was their key suspect for their primary suspect for a period of time. So that's crazy. Yeah. Get me in a cell. I'll get a confession. And he ends up in a cell with Britt. All right. So let's hear what he has to say about Britt. My God, so much in this case.
In 2012, he was facing a gun charge and I was facing a gun charge, and had it sealed up. Time went by. He's a sex offender. And I used to be affiliated, and he won't even know how that was going to matter. And I told him, I'm not no longer in it. 2009, I got out. I said, when you get down the road, you're probably going to have problems. He's laying there talking. We talked a lot. And He told me about a 38 special that he throwed in Black Bottom. I don't know, Black Bottom is in Lexington, Tennessee. It's off the side of Redbud Lake.
When was this?
This was in 2012, I believe.
Okay, so this could have been the gun that he used.
Could have been, yeah, very possible.
Holy shit. That's relevant.
And he said that, I never did know where this guy lived, but I assume he lives in an old house.
He lives in a trailer.
He has a kitchen, and he says this ghost comes to visit him in his kitchen. And
His wife said he's talking to people,
Yeah.
talking to somebody that wasn't there.
really,
Uh-huh.
so
I
that
felt
makes sense. huh?
Yeah.
when he said that.
Well,
That gave me
he's-
chills because just a week or two ago, I had gone to the Britt home and interviewed Janet Britt. And Janet Britt, during the course of that interview, was sharing about how Terry Britt's, with his mental health issues, would get these hallucinations and was talking to some girl that was haunting him at the house. And that was not in any records. I'd never seen that anywhere. Janet Britt really didn't give interviews. The other law enforcement agents were like, she's not going to talk to you. She's crazier than he is. And so I knew that that was a piece of information that he didn't have anywhere. And for him to just throw that random thing out, it's like, well, shit, he's telling the truth about that.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild. And yes, Katie got the untalkable to talk. We listened to that on your channel, I think, not that long ago.
And I see Lana from Truth and Transparency in here. She's been posting some stuff about the very early minutes of the investigation and has some theories that are quite different than the theories we have put out so far. I will say that I have been fact checking her like crazy, and I have yet to find a single fact that she has represented as true that is not. And she has found several inconsistencies that I have missed
Wow.
that are quite concerning to me.
Way to go. Good work. Good work. It's crazy.
So we'll get on over there too and watch that.
Yeah. Head on over. Truth and Transparency, guys. I know many people in here probably are already subbed, but if you're not, go do it.
Seeing this little girl, whoever this is, this was a young girl, whoever he's seeing, I don't know who it is.
Wait, he's seeing a young girl?
That's
Yeah,
the ghost.
that's
It's
the ghost.
of a young girl.
Yeah, it's the ghost of the young girl, yeah.
Huh.
So that's all the things he ever said to me. is
He said
weird.
it was a ghost of a young girl.
It was a ghost of a young girl coming to his kitchen and rattling the pots and pans he'd get up and go on and look, and it'd be a little girl, and then he'd go toward her, and she'd vanish.
Hmm. Did he ever talk about any of his?
No, he never, not sexual desires, because he knew I had his votes on
Yeah.
it. So he was really in there on protection.
Anything else that would be helpful for me to ask him, or
I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing that I ever heard him say confidential, and I wasn't looking for him as a criminal or anything,
Yeah.
and, that stood out.
yeah?
I mean, I don't have ghosts appearing media, I mean, so that may be
Yeah.
good to some people.
How did the 38 special come up?
Talking about guns, he's talking about what he was charged with, and they charged him with a gun he didn't have, is what he said. And that's especially, I reckon that's what he was on. He was on a gun charge with a gun. Somebody seen a gun, something, I don't know.
Mhm.
That was 38 special pistol,
And he said he threw it in Black Bottom,
Black Bottom off Redbud Lake.
Red Bud.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested in going on a investigative expedition of their own, he called me back later and clarified that it wasn't Redbud, it was Beach Lake in Lexington, and Beach Lake does have a black bottom off of it that is
Right.
quite on the route of where Terry Britt owned property and where he used to live.
Wild.
That's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm scared to.
Are you sure you're done this time?
I don't know unless he drops another bomb.
I know, I might
Anything
not put
else?
this away and just drop another bomb on me.
Anything else you want to?
I mean, I didn't
Any
know.
other secrets you want to?
No.
Do you think Terry Britt did it?
Yeah, looking into reports, yeah. Once the cadaver dog hit on it, seeing all the tools that he had in the back of the van, yeah, I'm pretty confident that I didn't know he was in the area then. I didn't know nothing about the case.
I think if you saw his testimony.
And then whenever somebody mentioned it, I just put my ears on in the ear. I didn't want to hear that shit, you know? But
I don't think he's
never laid in
honest
the jail cell.
I don't think he thinks that Terry Britt necessarily did it by that answer.
You don't think he does?
I don't think that was an honest. The way he answered that to me was that showed some deception to me.
Right.
I'm not saying Terry Britt did or didn't in the context of this. I'm saying that did not occur to me like he totally believes that Terry Britt did it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But doesn't want to.
So when are you?
It reminded me of in the 2017 episode when Karen Bobo is asked if she believes they got the right ones. And she says, I can't remember the exact word, but it's like basically, well, yes, based on what the prosecution said, it said
that it wasn't a wholehearted belief system. So when is trial and error coming out with its next season? How long are you going to keep us in suspense?
We are working very hard and have some new material. We're probably not going to put a lot out between now and when the verdict comes out.
You mean
mostly
the
because I don't
ruling
know
on
if
the post-conviction petition?
Yeah, the post-conviction petition. Doug has had put up with me for 2 years, and I think he's enjoying his little break. And I know that every time I do anything, he gets anxious about what trouble I might be causing. And so I'm trying to give him a little rest of me by working on materials and just laying somewhat low for the next month or two. So we have a lot of stuff coming out and we're really excited about it.
Have you already recorded or you haven't put it to recording yet?
We have a lot of material that's recorded and a lot of interview material that we don't have totally pieced together. For part of it is because we're not putting out a narrative, and we're still in a process of investigating some things that we have recently become aware of that add a lot of color and context into what was going on behind the scenes. And I don't know where it goes yet. I have more questions than I have answers about this case at this point.
I mean, you can see how hard it is on a post-conviction petition because people can just keep finding more and more and more. And it's like, you've got to draw a line at some time. Like I have a client who's post-conviction I'm working on, and he just keeps like sending me more and more. Like we're like done. Like I can't keep opening it up for one more new thing. I mean, if it was like the world came to an end new thing, but as you're seeing, like important things keep flowing in, long after. And it's like, holy shit, now what? We've got something new that is an important piece of this, overall puzzle. So.
And it's, I think, a little too layered because there's a layer of, did Zach do this? Definitely not. Like Zach, right. I will fall on that at any point. I will, because he physically, the laws of time and space, he couldn't have done it. He is innocent. Everything about my clinical impressions of him, every answer he's ever given, I've yet to see any piece of data to make me at all question that. And I went into it with no. In fact, that was the first question Zach asked me was if I thought he was innocent. And I knew it was very important to him that he did not want to work with anyone who did not believe that he was innocent. Right. And I felt the pressure to lie to him, but I don't lie because that's my one currency. If I lose that, I have nothing. And so I told him, I don't know yet. And he didn't like the answer, but it was, I guess, enough. But I think the truth matters, and his case. So there's the layer of, did Zach do it? I am beyond confident Zach didn't do it, and he and his brother should be out of prison. The next layer is,
did Britt do it?
What the fuck happened?
Right.
Yeah, like how did this happen? And where is the line between incompetence and corruption? Who are the players? And a lot of whys. And there's a lot of information that has not come out yet, and whatever the state thinks I know more, and they should be fucking terrified.
Right. There are a lot of like correlations with the Delphi case, just about like we know Rick Allen didn't do it. We're convinced Rick Allen didn't do it. Who the hell did do it? How did it get so botched? Was it, you know, incompetence mixed with corruption? So, I mean, and it's hard for the public to acknowledge that this kind of thing happens a lot, especially when you have a case like a little sweet white girl going, missing from her home, and the whole town needs to figure out what happened before people will rest.
You
So,
cut out for a second. I'm just back. I thought that I pissed someone off who was watching and they shut us down somehow.
oh, and you had cut off for a second for me, so I don't know what the public heard, but I was just saying there's a lot of ties to Delphi here, um, as far as not knowing who did it and was it corruption or, a combination of corruption and incompetence, especially when you have a case where like a beautiful young girl goes missing from her home, and if they don't figure it out, the whole town's up in arms.
Couple teenagers just like I'm so curious how I would feel about Delphi if I wasn't involved in this case, because I had all those assumptions that we all have. I was totally that person. It's like, well, surely if they got arrested for a crime like that, they must be
Right.
guilty of something. Even if they didn't do that, they must have done something terrible. And it just like there must be. I had no concept.
Right.
And I was one where I didn't totally understand why you don't talk to police and you ask for your attorney. I'm thinking, well, if I don't have anything, if I'm not guilty of anything, what could possibly hurt me? It's like, oh, you don't need your rights for the honest law enforcement who are going to accurately portray what you've said and record it.
But even when they're honest, they hear what they want to hear. They're looking for what they want to see. And if they're convinced it's you and you give them your actual whereabouts, because they're convinced, even if they're honest, they're going to make the new timeline, the crime timeline, fit in your availability because they're sure you did it.
It has rocked my world, and it's like you pull back a curtain, you never see it again. I remember I was driving my kid to school, and it was that moment of I should have something inspiring to say that she'll remember in her life, and it'll benefit her. Like, what can I impart on my spawn right now that will make her world better? And I go, Regan, at some point in your life, you're probably going to do something wrong. Or maybe not, but you're going to maybe get in trouble, and you're going to be talking to a police officer, and they're going to really make you feel like if you are a good person, the right thing for you to do is you tell them the truth and you try to be helpful and you talk to them, and they're upstanding and trying to help the community. You shut your mouth and you ask for an attorney and you sit there silently until that attorney shows up. You do not talk. Do you understand me? You shut your mouth and you ask for an attorney. So if nothing else in your life, there's your gift from
what
mom.
Mama's,
It's like,
right.
you ask for an attorney and you shut your mouth.
Right.
But it's sad that that's the most inspiring thing I could tell my kid.
Yeah, no,
It's
it is.
scary.
It is scary and it's real. All right. Well, we appreciate you being here, and everybody, we are going to resume, I think, on Monday, if not Monday, Tuesday, with the actual live trial. We wanted to go right after Autry's trial testimony into his recantation so that you could compare the two. And it was very, very lucky for us that Katie, the actual interviewer, was here with us to walk us through it. So we appreciate that. Everybody who hasn't, go check out Trial and Error Podcast and your YouTube, right? You have a YouTube page?
Yeah.
Same name.
Please
Trial
check us out. We have you can find the podcast on the YouTube and also on all the major streaming platforms. We have other content up there. We'll have a lot more coming up soon. In the next 60 days, definitely. But we'll put some more stuff up before then, just the real shocking stuff that's going to upset everybody. We'll wait.
Yeah, we just played that interview from your YouTube, Trial and Error.
And we put up I put up Dylan's entire video interrogation as well.
All right.
So if anyone's curious.
And he doesn't testify. He does testify?
He testified in the post-conviction.
Okay. All right.
I think they tried Zach first, and took away Dylan's immunity so that Dylan could
couldn't
be told
testify.
not to testify, because the last thing the state would have wanted is Dylan's completely ridiculous story that doesn't have Dylan's and Jason Autry's story have as much consistency between the two of them as if you took two random people and you said, make up a story about how someone might be kidnapped and killed. And those are the two stories you get. They're just,
Yeah, that's like the making of the murderer with the nephew or the cousin and it's like their two stories are completely and totally different. They couldn't have happened in the same crime or world. But
and when you watch the interrogation, you'll see Dylan isn't actually confessing. It's Jeff Jackson in the details that he'd just been told by Dennis Benjamin with Brent Booth for several hours, and repeatedly yelling those details to Dylan until he acquiesces and says, okay, yeah. The chilling part of everything about Dylan's interrogation to me is in the very beginning of the story when he's telling what happened that evening. He's talking about how they're shooting up. And then Jeff Jackson is repeating back, oh, you're smoking dope. And Dylan corrects him and says, we weren't smoking. They were injecting meth. And so we were shooting up, we were injecting. And you hear him say smoking dope several times again. And then at the end of the interview, you hear Dylan saying that he was smoking dope that night. And that is terrifying to me to watch.
wow.
It
Yes.
happened just in real time. You watch someone's memory be obstructed
By what they're telling him, what they're screaming at him. It's crazy. So yes, History and Homicide, I am wrong. Tomorrow, Bob will be live doing a Felonious Friday from Tennessee. And it sounds like there's some, super interesting stuff. If you guys want to delve deeper, there definitely is on Trial and Errors, either on their YouTube. That sounds like a very interesting interview to watch. It's kind of crazy. But thanks, mods. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Katie. And we'll
so
see you
much.
next
It's
time.
always a pleasure.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.